French President Emmanuel Macron has sharply criticized Israel's plan to seize Gaza City, calling it a disaster of unprecedented gravity waiting to happen. He warned the move could lead to a never-ending war, with both Israeli detainees and Palestinian civilians paying the highest price. Macron also proposed forming an international coalition under a UN mandate to stabilize the territory. His remarks follow Israel's Security Cabinet approving a plan that could forcibly displace hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, drawing global condemnation. Gaza's health ministry has reported 68 people killed and 326 injured in the past 24 hours due to Israeli attacks. 29 have been killed while seeking aid. The total death toll has now reached 61,499, with over 153,575 wounded since the war began. U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders has called for halting U.S. military aid to Israel, accusing Netanyahu's government of committing war crimes in Gaza. Sanders said Israel is becoming almost a pariah state and warned of its growing global isolation. He described the situation in Gaza as a slaughter and criticized U.S. support amid the killing of over 60,000 Palestinians, mostly women and children. Sanders' resolution to block arms transfers gained backing from 27 Senate Democrats, but no Republicans. The Euro-Mediterranean Human Rights Monitor has condemned Israel's killing of journalists in Gaza, calling it part of a broader campaign to silence Palestinian media. The group accused Israel of using drone strikes to target journalists and said its 22-month war has become a slaughterhouse for reporters amid what it described as systematic attacks to enforce a media blackout. The UN Human Rights Office has condemned the killing of 6 Palestinian journalists in Gaza by Israeli military strikes, calling it a grave breach of international humanitarian law. Israel's occupation military said it targeted and killed one of the journalists, alleging he had headed a Hamas militant cell. The UN called for immediate, safe and unhindered cross-access of journalists in Gaza, highlighting that at least 242 Palestinian journalists have been killed since October 7th of 2023. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has announced Australia will formally recognise the state of Palestine at next month's UN General Assembly. Albanese said the decision follows commitments from the Palestinian Authority, including the exclusion of Hamas from any future Palestinian government, a demilitarization pledge and recognition of Israel's right to exist. Calling the two-state solution humanity's best hope, Albanese criticized Israel's ongoing settlement expansion and humanitarian blockade in Gaza. He described the situation as a catastrophe and said Australia could not wait for a guaranteed peace before acting. The Prime Minister also revealed he told Israeli counterpart Benjamin Netanyahu that a political solution, not a military one, is the only path forward.
Living side by side with internationally recognized borders.
New Zealand says its cabinet will decide next month whether to recognize the state of Palestine, stressing an independent and cautious approach. Foreign Minister Winston Peters announced the decision will be taken by cabinet in the coming weeks, noting recognition has long been viewed as inevitable but remains complex. He said the government will carefully consider diverse views within New Zealand and approach the matter calmly, cautiously and judiciously before making a final decision. Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich has criticized Netanyahu's plan to seize Gaza City, calling it too limited. Smotrich urges a broader military takeover and the settlement of larger parts of Gaza, saying partial action risks high costs. Despite his push for a wider operation, he remains in Netanyahu's coalition, believing the government's approach can still be changed. Italy's defense minister Guido Crosetto has sharply criticized Israel's government, saying its actions in Gaza are unacceptable and demonstrate it has lost its reason and humanity. Crosetto condemned the military campaign as not a military operation with collateral damage, but the pure denial of the law and the founding values of our civilization. He urged for humanitarian aid and called for measures that would compel Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to reconsider his approach. On possible sanctions, Crosetto said Israel's occupation of Gaza and serious acts in the West Bank represent a qualitative leap requiring decisive action.